Welcome to the video on finding the range of a quadratic function. We'll start with finding the range when you are already in vertex form. And really, even before we get started, the first step would just be to confirm that you understand what the question's asking. Remember that when you see range, that means that we're talking about some y values, and in particular, the y values where the graph is located. So here we have a function that's in vertex form. Being in vertex form means that this -2 represents an a value, this represents an h value, and this represents a k value. And h and k tell us the vertex of this function. In particular, the vertex will be at -1, 6. Notice that I flipped the sign of the h. So if that's the location of the vertex, I could imagine sketching a graph of this parabola, and my graph would start at that point, -1, and then up 6. However, before I can actually draw the parabola, I still need one more piece of information, which is it going to be facing up or facing down? And that information comes from the a value. In this case, a is a negative number, which means that my parabola is going to be facing down. Looking at this parabola, the range of values is the number of all the y values covered by the graph. And the y values of this parabola, well, the highest one is up here at the vertex, and the rest of them are lower than that, which means that to write the range, we start with y, and then we use an inequality symbol, and because the parabola is going down, it's going to be a less than symbol because all of the rest of the points are less than that top point because the vertex is a max. And the y values in this case are all less than 6, and that 6 comes from the vertex. So once you get used to this and can kind of visualize in your head, you'll be able to come up with this answer just from looking at the vertex and the k value, and then from reminding yourself that if it's a maximum, in other words, if the parabola is facing down, you'll use a less than symbol. Here's a couple for you to practice with. You should pause the video here and take a moment to solve these on your scratch paper, and when you're ready to see the answers, press play again. Answers for the first set of practice problems are as follows. If you need more time to look at the answers, you should pause the video. Otherwise, we'll move on to doing the same thing, but in standard form. Remember that standard form of a quadratic function is when you have a and b and c instead of a and h and k. This is an example of a standard form quadratic. And range still means the same thing. So to find the range, we're going to need to know the vertex first. In this case, we know that this is an upward facing parabola because a is the secret one out front. So I can think ahead, and I know that ultimately my answer is going to involve y greater than or equal to, and then I would use the k value. In order to find k, though, I still need to know what that vertex point is, and I'm going to use a formula to find it, and that formula is a way of finding h when you have a standard form quadratic. It's the formula -b over 2 times a. When I plug into this formula, I get -6 over 2 times 1, and that becomes -6 over 2, which turns out to be -3. Once I have that h value, I can go back to find k, which is the y coordinate of the vertex point. All I need to do is plug this x coordinate back in. It looks like this. Remember that when you square a negative number, it actually turns into a positive number, and that you follow PEMDAS, so that would be the first step. Next step, multiplication. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. And then you simplify left to right. 9 minus 18 is negative 9. And negative 9 plus 10 is positive 1. So my vertex, which is a minimum, is going to be at the point negative 3, 1. And even though I don't have the whole graph sketched out, I know that the range is going to be y is greater than or equal to positive 1, because positive 1 is the k value that comes from the vertex. If you need another second to look at this work, you should pause the video. Otherwise, here are some practice problems for you. Again, pause the video here to solve these on your scratch paper. And when you're ready to see the answers, press play again. Here are the answers.